Hello, Tommy here again with JaSt Graphics. This time I'm going to do a quick tutorial on installing a decal only with the wet method instead of the dry method. We're going to be basically making a sign. This is a decal of the sign, and I'm going to be attaching it to this metal blank. Now, what I tell people when they're debating whether they want to use a wet or dry method, I tell them this. Look at the decal that you're installing and see how much of a solid piece of vinyl, in this case, you have. Like, for example, this sign says beware across the top, but there's a good 3.5 inches here that's basically solid vinyl. Same thing with the camera, with the security camera. That's a relatively wide piece of vinyl. The wider vinyl you have, in my opinion, it's better to use a wet method because it's easier to avoid bubbles and things like that. And now there's other ways to combat bubbles. You can pop them and you can cut them and all that. To me, I don't want to put any more holes or any type of imperfections into this graphic. I want it to look as good as it can look. So for this, I'm going to use a wet method. Now what we're going to need first off is some water. All of this is water, and I added about 2 or 3 drops of dishwashing detergent. I like to use Dawn, but Joy will work, all those others, but just a couple drops. You don't want it to bead and have a lot of bubbles. You want it to be like a smooth type of coating that goes over it. And you want to use this, you want to use quite a bit of it. You don't want to be stingy with it. But that's what we're going to use. And the first thing we want to do is clean what we're going to install the decal to. Now, I order these blanks pre-masked, which means they already have a thin masking coat on top of them, which I'm going to remove right now. So I don't need to wash that because it's not going to get any cleaner than that. But you should wash yours. I'm going to get my soap and water, and I'm going to really genuinely spray every piece. You want it all covered. But as you can see, it's not really bubbling. It's just like a coat. I'm going to peel this back by turning it upside down and peeling the paper from the application tape, not the other way around. Okay, so right now it's upside down, and I'm peeling the paper off the application tape. Okay? Now I'm going to just simply turn this around and place it where I want it. Now what's nice about doing a wet application is if I don't like right now that's not lined up as well as I like, you just pick it up and you move it. If you were using a dry method, once you lay that down, that decal is not going anywhere, it's stuck. But since it's wet, see how I can move it around and I can get it exactly where I want it. And now I will try to line it up as best as I can. I mean, of course, if I wanted to mark this and do a good perfect measurement, I could if I wanted to. But one of the nice things about wet is I don't have to do that if I don't want it. Now that's pretty close. I guess it can move over a little bit. So let's do one more time. Now it's getting a little stuck. See how it's sticking? Well, if you want to just fix that, just spray it more. And you can keep going until you get it exactly the way you want it. Let's see. That is pretty close. There we go. I think that's pretty good. Now we're going to take our squeegee from the center out, just like we did in the dry installation. And what the idea here is you really want to squeegee out any water that's left under that vinyl. Okay, look at this side. Always from the center out. Now I know this is a sign, but this could be used on a car, just if you were putting a decal on a window, or even the paint, you could use this method. Okay, I think that's about good. I'm going to start from the upper corner and peel this tape back 90 degrees, flat down against the sun. I always start on a corner. And you might see a little bit of lift off here. I'm looking right here is where I'm looking, just to make sure that none of the vinyl, what we call, lifts off. There we are. Now we'll take our felt squeegee and we're gonna squeegee it. This is very important on wet. You cannot skip this step if you're doing wet, because there is probably a little bit of bubbles and water still in there. See, now what I'm doing is I'm cutting this down the center and doing the center out, even because there's this 3-inch piece of solid varnish. On the edges, I usually just go like this. Make sure you get them all out. The camera will do the same thing. Center out. Center out. These letters aren't so thick, so I would just take them in one stride. I'm pushing pretty hard. I'm almost pushing as hard as I can, to be honest with you. And the idea here is to just make sure that there is no water whatsoever left underneath the vinyl. And if you look at it in different areas of shading under the light, you will see if there's any bubbles. And if there are, and you can see water bubbles, they're real easy to get out. You just squeegee them out. That looks pretty good. Now I'll take some paper towels here. Now right here it looks like I'm wiping very hard, but I'm not. I'm actually just rubbing it. I'm barely touching the surface of the sign. Because if I rub, it's going to peel the vinyl off. This vinyl will take about 24 hours to be what's quote-unquote permanently attached. Of course, no vinyl is permanent. It could all be taken off. And then there you go. Very professional looking. As I'm looking in the light, I don't see any bubbles at all, but if I were, I could just easily put it down and go over any area that I feel needs to be addressed. But again, the object here is to get the best result. That's the goal, and that's what I want my customers to feel like they have when they install one of my vinyl decals. And this is a wet way of doing it. And again, feel free to drop me any comments. I could be reached at JaStGraphics@gmail.com, or you can go directly to the website, www.JaStGraphics.com. And I welcome your comments. Thank you.